Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Raw Life Health Show. I have a question that is a topic I wanted to discuss anyway, so I'm glad I got the question. And somebody asked me, how do you decide what you're going to eat any given time? And there was a preface to it. She says, I don't always have a lot of time, so I may eat what's healthy and quick versus what sounds good or what I really need. So how do you decide what you're going to eat at any given time? Well, I've been eating raw vegan diet for many, many years. And I think a lot about my diet. I always think about my diet, but I've gotten so used to doing this and I've been doing it so long that I really don't have to think about what I eat right now. I've made some changes and adjustments over the years. My ideal diet and way to eat is a daylight diet, eating at certain times. So I don't just think about what I eat, I think about when I eat. I definitely don't want to eat too late at night. Definitely don't want to eat before going to sleep. But in thinking about the times I'm going to eat, I think about, well, how much time I have to prepare my food and so on. So for me personally, I decide or I make a decision to get most of my fruit in earlier in the day before noontime. I try not to mix my food and with sugars and fats. So I try to save the fats and the more heartier meals for the afternoon. And I eat in the morning time, mostly some fruits or smoothies or such things as this. And then in the afternoon, I might have some seeds or nuts or salads and greens and so on. I have no problem having greens in the morning if it's in a smoothie or something. But for the most part, I eat fruit before noon, and afternoon, I'll eat my fats and my greens. As for what I eat, I usually have 2 main meals a day. I might graze throughout the day depending on how hard I'm working or what's going on. But I think just keeping it at 2 meals a day is ideal. And for me, I pretty much eat a breakfast of a smoothie or some fruit in the morning that was hopefully fresh and in season. And then in the evening time or the late afternoon time, preferably before sunset, I will have my second main meal of the day, which is usually a salad and a raw food recipe or something of such. So that's the main thing. So again, in the afternoon, I might munch on some seeds or some nuts before dinner. But that's the way I normally do it. So 2 main meals a day, and the other meals will vary. Now, one thing I try to definitely do every day is get greens in my diet. I prefer to have a green vegetable juice in the morning. It's usually the first thing I have every day is a green vegetable juice, so I know I've gotten it in my greens. But I also like to have a green salad for dinner. I very seldom do I not have one or the other, either green salad at nighttime or salad with a lot of greens in it, such as kale and spinach, or in the morning time, my green vegetable juice. I often have both, but definitely one or the other. So greens to me are the staple and the most important thing. I feel great as long as I have greens in my diet. If I don't have greens in my diet, I don't feel I do as well, regardless of what else I eat. So that's how I determine that. The next question is how do you gauge if you're eating enough? And the person wrote also, I don't eat enough. If I don't eat enough, I lose much weight. Well, weight is a relative thing because there's so many things that determine that, and somebody can eat a lot of empty calories and still not put on weight. So I wouldn't determine eating enough or too little only on your weight. I like to check my nutritional levels through my blood work to make sure I'm getting enough nutrients. I don't like to necessarily go by the way I feel because stimulation can be very deceptive and is very deceptive for people. So I determined it on basically, I've been doing this for so long. I mean, we're not new to new diets. Well, some people I guess are. So you have to determine, I know what blood work over the years I've taken and what diets I've eaten and what's worked for me. I want to be satisfied as well. Of course, if I exercise harder, I will allow myself to eat more. But I know I've eaten too much. I know how to identify when I eat too much. Some signs are quite obvious to me, but other people, they're not. When I'm too full, I can't even get up from the table. When I get lethargic from eating a certain food too much. Or I don't feel good after eating too much food, no matter what it is, even if it's a food I like. And I don't feel good. And I feel light but satiated when I eat just the right amount. And if I don't eat enough, I often crave more food. So I wouldn't necessarily go by cravings as a sign if you're eating enough or not, because there's a lot of people out there that crave certain nutrients that they don't necessarily need. They're just in the habit of pleasure eating instead of really meeting for nutritional needs. From my experience, most people don't eat for nutritional purposes; they eat for pleasure, and based on the amount of pleasure they desire or they need, they're going to determine how much they eat. So most people that don't have pleasure out of life tend to overeat because they're trying to get it from somewhere else in food. Most people that live a satisfied life and they get much pleasure out of it tend to not overeat, from my experience. As for me personally, overeating is something I looked at for a very long time and studied for a very long time. It's something, when we could all get emotionally upset or discomfortable from an emotional standpoint, we can try to take it out on our food or so on. But I always say if we're really at a high emotional state, that's the best time not to eat. I don't believe in this whole idea of comfort foods, because comfort foods are usually not something that's good and healthy. So, and then the last question was, what has made your biggest impact and the most beneficial for your elimination? And for me, it's two things. Number one is not eating too late at night, and number two, combining my foods well. I don't mix sugars with fats, or I try not to mix sugars with fats. I find when I mix sugars with fats, eating like nuts and dried fruit together or things like this, it kind of has a negative impact on my elimination. As long as I keep my sugars with my sugars and I eat my fats separate from that, I found that has been the best thing for me personally. Some people call it food combining, so that's a form of food combining, but I just try to eat sugars separately from fats. And also not eating late at night have been some of the biggest things that have helped me in my elimination. So I hope those answers helped you. And remember, every case is individual, but some of these things are not standard, but universal in terms of what works for people and what not. But we're all built different. We're all a different place. We're all going through different things. So try things that's going to work for you. I hope these suggestions will help you. Try them out. Keep me updated. Put your comments and questions below. Have a blessed day and a great raw life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.